It's Friday. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Everything good? Everything popping? Everything good? I'm excited. I don't know about you, but all week long I've been learning how to make some more money, how to grow my money, and different ways of doing it. And if you don't know what we're talking about, the whole week we've been doing a whole session on Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot. Yeah, I like that one. I like that one, right? All right. So listen, without further ado, let me bring my guests on because they've been helping me out understand all this thing. Please welcome to the show, Maria. Where you at?
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to hear from today's meeting.
So, Maria, how's your pen? I know you've been, did you get another pen? You've been writing like crazy. You've been popping it like crazy. I see. I know you had the notes.
Yes, I'm ready for Peter. I drank a lot of water so that my brain is clear,
Yeah.
ready for the information from today.
All right. So, but before we bring Peter, this would not be possible without our sponsor. So we want to thank our sponsor, and there it is, Bitcoin Exchange. That's right. If you want to know more about it, the phone number is right there. Their locations are in Richmond Hill, Scarborough, Mississauga, 647-866-6969. So let's give them a big round of applause, because if it wasn't for them, this wouldn't be possible. We wouldn't have this series, and we couldn't have Peter on giving us all the good tidbits. So, without further ado, Maria, you want to introduce Peter?
Well, it is my pleasure, my privilege to introduce this wonderful guy with green eyes. That's going to bring us all about cryptocurrency today. What's the boom in the cryptocurrency? Why is it a good thing for people to start learning and getting into it right now at this certain time of the year with this whole pandemic crazy thing going on? So we want to bring you to the floor, my friend. Coming in.
All right. What's going on, buddy?
Everything's really good, man. Life's amazing. Doing the best of the situation we're in, but still smiling every day.
Okay, hold on. Wait. Time out. Maria, you didn't get the memo.
Which memo?
Hoodies. Look at the hoodie.
Bitcoiners, we wear hoodies, right? Charles is now official Bitcoiner. He's in the hoodie club now.
No, I did not get the memo.
I don't know. I'll teach you. Okay, I'll teach you.
I only wear hoodies for the gym. Okay, that's it.
All right, here we go. We're gonna do a little recap, okay? Because if you missed yesterday, on Wednesday, Wednesday's show was fire, and I wrote a lot of things down. So let's start them off. Peter gave us the 5 tidbits on which ones you'd be looking into, which ones you should be thinking about. So I actually popped them on the screen. Number 1, we got to take a look at some Bitcoin. Okay, so there it is. Number 2, Ethereum. Number 3, the one that I like, Polkadot. I like that one. All right. And this one, Binance. And number 5, explain this one, Peter, so everybody can understand why I have 2 of them on there.
So the first one is just a slang for a non-fungible token. It's a digital art. So MVI is a metaverse index fund of a bunch of NFT platforms. So if you want to be exposed to the NFT boom and craze without doing the dozens and hundreds of hours of research to get a base, you could just invest in MVI, which has a team of people diversifying the different NFTs and NFT platforms. So it's a way to expose yourself to the new trend in crypto right now.
All right. So basically they do the teaching, you follow, learn, and then once you become a little expert, you just bounce.
No. MVI is an index fund. So instead of trying to figure out the S&P 500, right, you could just buy the index fund. And if the whole stock market goes up, you do well. So instead of trying to buy 10 different tokens of NFTs and 5 of your own NFTs and try to sell them on the open market, you can just buy one token, which is MVI, and it's an index funds of all these NFT platforms in place.
Okay, so here, hold on. I know you got a question. Okay, so then here's a question for you then. A newbie like myself, I think that's what you were thinking about, Maria. Is this the easiest one to go into? Set it and forget it kind of thing?
Well, that's why it's the 5th of my 5. But I want to have the first 4 I named are not big market cap because everything's going to grow. But not financial advice, but you could get 2, 5, 10 times returns if things go really well on those big ones. But it's still an established platform, right? So this one's a little harder to get. This one's a little bit smaller. They don't even have the market cap listed yet, right? So this is one where, again, do your own research, take your own risk. But there's a possibility where all of a sudden that one goes 25, 50, maybe 100 times, who knows, right? Where the chances of it happening on the first 4 I recommended are much slimmer to have those kind of returns, unless like there's some kind of like huge takeoff in everything in the space. It's like you're gonna be waiting like much longer. Like Bitcoin could still 100x, but it might take 10 years, right? Where MVI might 50 to 100x, might not. It might be worth half what it's worth today in a month, but in a couple of short months, it could go parabolic.
Okay, so let me ask now. My turn. Okay, so first of all, remove NFT and or from that sign. It's only MVI. Now, Peter, I went and did my research on how to get to buy the MVI. So is it something on a like a stock wallet or it's a crypto wallet where I should be looking?
No, it's all crypto. Like everything I ever talk and recommend is always going to be crypto. So I know on the Trust wallet, the one we think you downloaded, if you send Ethereum there, there's ways you could turn your Ethereum into MVI. But I'm going to do some research for you. I'll get back to you for the Monday show. It's very likely you should be able to do it on the Binance exchange itself, which would be one step even easier, right? So until I do it myself, I don't want to verify. But through the DEX on Trust, which would logically, they would have to send DEX options on their exchange on Binance. I don't see why just sending your Bitcoin into Binance, switching it to Ethereum, and then clicking a couple more buttons on a Uniswap exchange, you would end up with MVI. So this is something we could do with a conference call together, right? So that'll be that the first 4 are very simple to own. The 5th one is a little bit more complicated, but a little bit doesn't mean a lot more, just a little bit more complicated.
Okay, perfect.
Right. And everything that's great takes time. So everything, take your time, learn about it. And like we keep saying before, these are Peter's suggestions. You still need to do your research. He's just giving you the insight. He's opening the book for you. He can't read everything for you. You got to go and still read it. All right. So there we go. All right. Let's dive into it, Peter. Let's dive into it.
So I think the theme of today's show is why, what is the whole boom? What's causing the big boom in Bitcoin right now, right? Yep. So as I always do for the first few minutes, I'm going to go back to some fundamentals, a little bit at a time, because usually people are not super excited by it, but it's important to know, right? So we're going to go back to this funny word named mining, which is, again, cryptographic computers, right? Solving math problems. So Satoshi Nakamoto is just a name. It could be one person, 100, a group, or organization. We really don't know. But what we do know is a white paper came out on October 31st, 2009, which was everybody should read, actually. If you go to my site, peterratnikoff.com, or just Google Bitcoin white paper, it's available everywhere. It's less than 10 pages, very short read. It'll give you the understanding grassroots of this whole movement by reading a few short pages. So this concept that Satoshi Nakamoto wrote, this white paper, came out October 31st, 2009. And clearly this is a selfless organization or a selfless human being because he didn't take any action. He I think, preferred if somebody else in the world or some other group took action, but nothing happened. So I guess on January 3rd, the following year, 2010, the first ever block got released. So this is where the word blockchain comes in. I've been staying away from it to keep it for the basics, but it's important to understand what a blockchain is if you're going to be investing and be in the cryptocurrency space. So a blockchain is a set of encrypted data that releases, in our case, when it started, 50 Bitcoin. So there's no Bitcoin on January 2nd. On January 3rd, the first Genesis block, the first block was called the Genesis block, comes out and it releases 50 Bitcoins. And every 10 minutes following, 50 Bitcoins are released. And whoever is using their computing power to break this cryptographic code, and if there's 100 computers, 100 will be competing, whoever breaks the code first gets the reward. So originally it was only the original founder mining it himself or using his computer power to semi-prove this concept. And then getting on the right cipher platforms, getting on the right kind of, getting it to the right places. He had a small core of people, maybe dozens, hundreds, definitely less than thousands, like a few hundred or a few dozen people who started mining it as well. So those were the early people who built the infrastructure. So every 10 minutes, since 2010, January 3rd, 50 Bitcoins were coming out as of January 10th. And that's how Bitcoins are created. So it's important to understand is because 4 years later, this was built into the algorithm. The number went in half. So 4 years after that, 25 Bitcoins started coming out every 10 minutes. Then the 4 years after that, it halved again, 12 and a half Bitcoins are coming out. So it's a deflationary asset where we're used to dollars and the currency we're used to, we keep hyperinflating it or keep inflating it. This currency is actually deflationary, which is very good for human beings as a store of wealth. So by the time Bitcoins are done mining, it's going to be the year 2140. So don't worry, mining's around for a long time. But also you have to understand this based on that algorithm. If you do 50 Bitcoins every 10 minutes and half it every 4 years, it takes to the year 2140 or so to finish the mining. But there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoins. That's it. There's already 18 point something million right now. So if you think about it, if we already mine the big chunk, like 80-something% of the coins, how could we mine for so much longer? Well, the answer to that is by the year 2040, there'll be 93% of the coins mined, and it'll take 100 years to mine the last 5, 7, 8%, whatever the number may be. So pretty much the bulk of the mining has already happened, and we have some decent rewards in the next 5, 10 years, but they're getting smaller, smaller, smaller. But understanding this is, it's not a scary thing. The mining power is going to switch as this is taking off, as you see it getting bigger, bigger. Instead of having to win the rewards, like right now, big miners are fighting for those blocks. So right now there's 6.25 Bitcoins coming out every 10 minutes. You have to have a warehouse, like a huge factory of computers to have any chance of winning that. But let's say you set up a rig at your house that was like not overly complicated, like a $5,000 rig, noisy, loud, whatever, but it's made to mine. What you would actually be mining, like let's say me and you, Maria, did a transaction, right? And we paid $2. A miner actually is verifying that. So the part that people don't see in Bitcoin, like how is this all happening? It's people volunteering these supercomputers to verify our network. So why is this so important and why is it taking off? Is because every 4 years, we've had price spikes. But along the way, we've had a whole movement of change, right? It started with just people in the cypherpunk and the people in the coding and tech world community, right? And then it took off from there to more normal day-to-day business-like people, right? And that took several years, right? So by the people understanding the technology, there were small booms on the first halving. By the time we got to the second halving, where Bitcoin was around 8 years, you started having entrepreneurial people start to understand, and we had a major boom in price. Now the third halving just happened last summer, and usually the price runs up a little bit before. Then nothing happens around the time of the halving, usually because people are already everybody knows. Literally on all the videos I post, you'll see a Bitcoin halving countdown. It's like, it's not a secret. Everyone knows exactly when it's happening. So before the halving, usually there's a sell-off on top that happens. So you don't really see those gains when the halving actually occurs. But then few short months or weeks or whatever the case later, you usually do have a run-up. And the first time, like I said, it was just the cypherpunks, tech people that understood it. Oh my God, Bitcoin's going to be half the amount's going to come out every 10 minutes. They took advantage. The second wave was more entrepreneurial people. Now you have literally the biggest companies in the world putting it on their balance sheet. We talked about Tesla buying 1.5 billion or whatever they bought originally that ended up being that much. Their investment went to 2.2 billion and they just sold 10% for profit. So some people got scared because Tesla sold some of their holdings, but they sold nothing but profits. And the reason, if you read why they did it, is to prove to their investors and everyone as a whole that it's just as liquid as cash. So if they're holding it on their balance sheet as a form of a reserve, they just went out there and proved to the world, to any other big corporation on that level, that, hey, this is just as liquid as cash. So anytime, for whatever reason, which they didn't need the prop, they just did it to like show it could be done, they liquefied $200 million of Bitcoin, no problem. So now you have the biggest institutions in the world. You have low-key government organizations in China, in Russia, in the Middle East. I've talked to people, and I'm sure other parts of the world where you have governments mining this or letting people mine it on their behalf with free electricity. So right now, this next boom that's going to cause the price to go up is not going to be from the Cypher community. It's not going to be from entrepreneurs only. it's going to be from the biggest money in the world. And once they make all their main profits, there'll be a little downtrend, or maybe we're in a super cycle, whatever the case may be. But there will be a huge run up, and then it will come down on some kind of level. And when it comes down, and all these institutions have their buck, and all these governments and all these big players have their buck, that's when they're going to let the average Joe get in and use it. So right now, taking advantage now, why it's booming right now is because, and why take advantage now, because you're going to be using this technology no matter what. 3, 9, 6 years from now, this is going to be as daily as your email. Some people don't use email daily, but almost everybody uses it weekly or monthly. Same with this technology. On one form or another, you're going to be using it. So get part of the movement now. Take advantage part of this big wave now, because you have the biggest, smartest financial institutions taking advantage of this, and you could do the same thing.
All right. So what I've been doing is doing some background, looking at some stuff, and then I found one of the biggest companies. And when he's talking about the computers, this is just a factory right there. You know what I mean? It's supercomputers. They're all doing the work. It is not an easy thing to do. I know a lot of companies and people are like trying to build these things. It costs a lot of money. You know what I mean? It's a lot of money in industry. So like he said, this is the time. You know what I mean? If you can get in, why not? Like they always say, stick your big toe in the water. See what happens. You never know what might happen. So this is great. All right. So Maria, I could see smoke. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So understanding now that Tesla jumping into the Bitcoin, and I would say, I don't know, excuse me if I'm ignorant in what I'm saying right now, but that kind of give a little bit of strength to the Bitcoin by Tesla investing on Bitcoin. But how do you see this in the next 3 to 5 years, like as potential for people? Like if people get right now, how do you foresee cryptocurrency in the next 3 to 5 years?
Are you asking price predictions, or you're asking like the movement and where you see it as day-to-day society?
Movement and price.
Okay, so price, again, it's all just speculation. Nobody has a crystal ball. So I could throw out numbers, which I will, but I'll get first to understand where the world's going to go, most likely, right? So I don't know if it'll be social media first, second, third, or last, but for sure, we're going to own our own digital content. This technology, whether it be on Ethereum, Polkadot, Binance Coin, or there's already social media. BitCloud has a good one that kind of went viral. Steam had one that caught some momentum a few years ago, but kind of no one's really using anymore from what I know of. So there's already been social media attempts where like Reddit, like the Steam one, people could upvote you. If you get upvoted, you actually make Steam dollars from this, right? So there's already been concepts that have been launched and worked on some kind of minor level, but didn't go viral, right? So as we build this infrastructure, it's only a matter of time that something goes viral, which we won't even know it's on a blockchain. Like we'll know because we're watching the show and talking about the space. But I mean, the average person will start using this technology without realizing. Like it's already happening on a small level with NFTs. The NBA signed a deal with a blockchain not many people know called Flow. And there's literally hundreds of thousands of people lining up to buy these NFTs, these like NBA moments of dunks, whatever it may be. And they have no clue they're using blockchain technology. They just want to buy this digital thing. They go on this website and they're not thinking like the hundreds of thousands of people are not lining up to buy these digital memories and moments of the NBA because they love blockchain, because they want to support this community. No, they're doing it because that's something they want to do. So where the space is going is not just social media, not just finance. Those are the basic things in my mind could just come up now. Even, for example, buying a bottle of, let's say, alcohol, right? And not having the ingredients tracked in here. How do I know this is a real bottle of alcohol? How do I know that the sweater I bought is actually from the source, right? So everything's going to have an encryption or a one-on-one off of it. So everyday technology, everyday things you're going to buy, even inexpensive items, are going to be somehow linked to a blockchain. And whether they use the word blockchain, whatever the terminology that goes viral, this is the world we're going to use. Every company is going to have, most likely, if they're interacting with humans, if they're not like a robot-based or working with machine, I'm talking about companies that interact with humans, for them not to have their own cryptocurrency instead of a point system would be very silly. Like, why wouldn't a huge conglomerate company that already has some kind of point system, why wouldn't they just launch their own cryptocurrency? Even if it has a centralized aspect and it's not truly decentralized, but it's on the open markets. It has some form of it. That's still a long stride from what we have now. Like if I have 1,000 optimal points, yeah, they give me some credit there. But imagine I can go on the open market and trade those for whatever I want to. We're going to a world much more liquid and much more accessible for the average person. And just keeping the numbers easy, there's a chance that Bitcoin or cryptocurrency could take some huge number of, like they say there's $200+ trillion in the world economy. Best case scenario, maybe we could get 50 to 100, and like that's realistic in the long term. But in the short term, in the short to midterm, meaning like 1 to 5 years or 3 months to 3 years, who knows? I believe a 10 trillion market cap for cryptocurrency or even just Bitcoin alone is very attainable. So right now, Bitcoin's at about 1 trillion. So the price of Bitcoin would have to be 10 times for it to be the value of gold. So Bitcoin would be sitting closer at about 5 million at the end of the next super cycle or at the next, wave. That's not just about the halving. It's about the halving and the waves, and like there has to be ups and downs, flows and everything. Every stock, every market has that, right? So we're gonna have an upflow, a downflow, some kind of downflow at some point, and then the next upflow after that is where I think we'll hit those multi-million-dollar numbers. Again, no one has a crystal ball. Research yourself, but this is just an opinion coming from a lot of information and data that you could track yourself as well.
All right. So hold on. Before we move forward, make sure you enter to win. Hashtag CMJ Live. Just put it in the comments. CMJ Live and enter to win. We've already given away some prizes, some free consultation one-on-one with Peter himself. So make sure you enter hashtag CMJ Live to enter to win. Okay. So in the comments, somebody was asking, and this is a good question because I saw it last night actually. There's different Canadian companies coming out now with their own apps and their own buy from us kind of thing. Does it really make a difference if you use a US site or a Canadian site to purchase your coins and stuff? Does it make a difference?
No. And again, the way I teach is not to use any of those platforms. So all those platforms, actually, as full disclosure, I loved this space when I came in because not said no one's, every human's unique, but there was a lot of humans that were like thinking outside the box, that were kind of like edgier, whatever that meant, but they were kind of like a different, weird, unique, cool, all of the above human beings. That was 2015, 16 for me, and even most of 17. Then something happened in the fall of 2017 and early 2018 that kind of has me love the space like no other. But this is where I stopped going to meetups. This is where I stopped, because all of a sudden it went from people that were thinking for themselves to a bunch of people that started working for companies like that. And they were highly encouraged to go to the events. They didn't have to, but they pretty much did. So all these employees that make whatever, 30 to 90K a year, 60K on average, are there at these Bitcoin meetups. Don't give up about Bitcoin. Don't give up about the movement. They're just there because they have to be to collect their paycheck. So there's nothing wrong with those platforms, but they're just not the ones that are going to make the game. There's none of those companies are going to make these social media platforms I'm talking about. None of these companies are going to make some kind of revolutionary. No, they just want to make a few percentages off you buying. And they think if they get in early, which they're probably right, by the time 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now, when the average Joe needs to buy it, like 80% of the people need to buy it. Right now, we have half of 1% of the whole world that's ever used Bitcoin. Half of 1%. That's minuscule. That's about 94 to 97, 98 of the internet. We're in that range. That's how early we're on cryptocurrency. Just to give you a perspective of where we're coming from. So using those Canadian exchanges, I don't recommend at all. I'm obviously a little bit biased as well, but I teach people how to buy things anonymously. If you want to support local and you are going to buy with your information and credit card, sure, why not? But it's like saying, is there advantage of shopping on Amazon.ca or .com? Like, it's the same company, it's the same, like.
Yeah, $2 difference.
Listen, I do have one more thing to ask. I don't know if this is for this episode, but I'm still gonna ask. I heard a lot of people creating a coin about themselves. Like I can create like Maria Carolina's coin, something like that, like under my name. Is that right?
So that's most likely BitClout. BitClout is like a social media, like I told you about. Steam was the first one. So Steam looked kind of more like Reddit, and I actually use Steam, so I'm more familiar with it. and it was like upvoting, and they had their own dollar. So BitCloud is the one that most people are using. There's like a young girl, I can picture her Instagram. She has a BitCloud account, and I know she knows almost nothing about cryptocurrency, right? So it's just like a social, but again, she has, I think, like, I don't know, 15 coins, and they're worth like 15 cents, 50 cents each. So her value is $7. That's better than nothing, I guess, right? But it's not like, if you're like a big YouTuber, or you're a big celebrity for whatever field you're in, or somehow you're a big following on whatever you did in life, and you start a coin, there'll be some traction. Like a lot of these guys who are like pretty big in the crypto space, some of their coins are worth $100. They have 100 or 1,000 coins. That's a 10,000, 100,000 market cap, whatever the case may be, right? It starts building up. But for the average Joe, you might as well do it if you want to support, but we're not there yet, right? Trust me, if there was a platform that was viral, that would be probably a whole episode would be focused on it.
I'm telling everybody right now, I'm putting it out there in the universe. Give it 1 year, you're going to buy a coin, and all you're going to see on it is... All right.
Yeah, but can we buy those coins? Like, what can we do with a coin with our own name? Like, what can we do with that?
It's not that. So the coin right now you're most likely talking about, like, you have to give me more research. I'm pretty sure it's BitCloud. It's like you would post and make a social media following, right? And if people liked you, they could buy your coin, and that gives, like, for example, the guys, I don't know, the guys in the crypto community, how they do it, I don't know how the average people do it, is like, they'll have, let's say, this regular channel on live or recorded, whatever the case may be. Then they'll have a private Telegram group you could actually message and talk to them, or they'll have a private. So if you could either buy a subscription to their whatever premium service, or they say buy one of my tokens, or if the price goes up, buy half of one of my tokens, and you have lifelong membership to my whatever premium service. So the guys in the cryptocurrency community, that's how they're doing it. They're offering more incentive. If you buy some of their coin, they're going to give you more access to them. So that's what they're doing. But is that the standard? Like, how would the average person apply that? I'm not sure yet.
Good. Thank you.
It's basically like YouTube. You can watch them, but if you want to go to their private chats or private thing, then you subscribe to them. You get all the benefits. You get the one-on-ones. You get all this stuff. So it's really up to the followers. You know what I mean? So you got to become famous. You know. That's why I'm telling you. Pretty soon, you're just gonna see my face on some coins. I don't know if you want to buy my coins after that. I'll probably scare people away. Nah, no, I don't think so. All right.
Actually, what Eric, the last episode, I didn't realize that her company, I've been working with Lou for years, like several years. I just know her as Lou. I didn't know her company was called the Bitcoin Exchange. So the first episode, you're like, show me the Bitcoin Exchange. What was that? So I try to be humble and polite, like, yeah, of course I would know. But then you put up Lou. I was like, oh, that's just Lou? So anyways, me and Lou are working together on a documentary also. So she made a poster that has like a digital like graphic on it. It's kind of cool. So at the last episode, the 10th episode, maybe we'll air it. And most likely, if things go well, that'll be the first NFT I plan to make. So it's like a picture of me and Bitcoin on it. So get a little sneak peek on the last episode. So that might be my personal first NFT. So Charles, you're not wrong. As soon as I make one, I'll show you how to make yours right behind mine, you know?
There we go. And something I can leave to my son. Who knows? It might be worth something.
Yeah, you never know.
You know what? Here's the thing, though. You could go so successful. Let's think big, right? Let's say, yeah, it could be worth nothing and we just have fun. That's realistic. But let's think big. If things go really well, you could launch an NFT and potentially not even be able to afford it yourself. Think about that. Like, you could like force to buy it, or you could be like, I need the $40,000. If somebody's offering me $40,000 for my NFT, it's like, okay, but like, am I gonna like outbid them? And like, no, like there might be situations where artists literally can't afford to keep their own art.
Yeah.
In the sense of like they can put it on the market, but they couldn't afford to buy. I guess that's common, but we've never seen it in the digital frontier yet. So it's gonna be cool to see.
Amazing.
If you launch a picture with your face on it, but then you can't afford to buy your own face. That could be a pretty cool world, right? That's the future we're going to, Maria. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Kids making art that they can't even afford, but then they have people buying it around the world, and that's just gonna be normal.
Right. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick break, but I'm gonna ask all our viewers two things. One, don't forget to enter to win. So right after, we're gonna hashtag CMJ Live, and if you have a question for Peter, put it in the comments. I'm actually going to pop it on screen, and hopefully Peter can answer the question, or he's going to research it and get back to you. I'm giving one person a chance to ask Peter a question directly after this break. Stay tuned. Here we go. CMJ Entertainment is a one-stop shop. CMJ Entertainment helps people do any type of events, and it's a marketing tool as well. So we'll cover everything from start to finish. If it's a wedding, we'll make sure your wedding is over the top. And if it's an event, we make sure that everybody gets information at the end of the day. Give us a call at 416-414-8964 or online, go to cmjent.com.
Immigrant Women in Business, IWB, is a non-profit organization bringing together women from over 50 different countries around the globe. These women have now made Canada their home and share a common goal of providing value to their new sisters. Our motto of "We are stronger together" resonates with all members, and with a diverse membership of business leaders, entrepreneurs and community builders, our goal is to make Canada better and provide guidance and leadership to those that follow.
All right, we are back live. Let me check one question there. All right, I got some people entering. All right, so if you want to ask Peter a question, put it in the chat right now. The first person to type in what question you want to ask, I'm going to pop it on screen. And then also put in CMJ Live. We're going to do the winner in 10 seconds. So if you have any questions, pop it in the chat. And here we go. All right, so Maria, go ahead. If you have any more questions while I pull up the winners and share the screen.
Well, my questions for today are cover. I wanted to see the foresee for what can we expect for the next 3 to 5 years. And I would say if like Tesla, which other companies have you seen on the information that are willing to invest in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, just so that people feel more comfortable? Because when I saw Elon Musk talking about Bitcoin, I was like, wow, this is really getting in. And I see like a lot of people are going to start using Bitcoin in the near future to pay like more into like stores and stuff like that. So is there any companies like, are you aware of that are starting to come in the same way that Tesla did on Bitcoin?
Yeah, so Tesla wasn't actually the first, it's just the biggest name. There was a lot of smaller names building up to it, but we used to call this gentleman that a lot of people don't like because we had a hard fork, which if you're just new to you, don't worry. Bitcoin split to two different coins, Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin. And the gentleman that used to be called Bitcoin Jesus was Roger Ver. He was actually the founder of that blockchain wallet you started with. But he got super passionate about Bitcoin Cash, and he lost a lot of his Bitcoin, like true Bitcoiners, and he kind of got like, I'm sure a lot of people still love him, and he's a great guy. Like, I have nothing against him, but a lot of people don't consider him Bitcoin Jesus anymore. But this other gentleman who got into crypto much later, I think he got in last year, maybe the year before, Michael Saylor from MicroStrategies, he was the most famous one because he had his company's like safe asset allocation, or I might be saying wrong, I'm not positive his company does, but what he did do was take a lot of their cash holdings, like a big chunk, and put it into Bitcoin. And that ended up being the best decision he can make because they're hyperinflating money. And he has lots of conversations and podcasts. He's like a billionaire himself, and he's in a network around these elite people that are explaining that if they made 20 to 25% of the inflation of the American dollar last year alone, that means if your company didn't make 20 to 25%, you actually lost money. Mm-hmm. So if you bought a stock and your stock didn't return 25%, you didn't keep up with the inflation of money. And this is a big concern. Let's start doing these numbers. So he was very vocal about it. And he actually had a conference, don't quote me, I think it was around February, but it was a few months ago. And he was expecting a few hundred companies, I think 2,000 companies, like huge corporations, ended up attending this, it was a virtual conference, but he was explaining to them step by step his playbook of how you would diversify properly through the right channels and having, instead of cash on your books, having Bitcoin on your books. So there's tons of companies that actually attended that conference, but haven't declared it yet because they haven't had to. They do quarterly reports. So the next quarterly report that comes out, you might be shocked by the companies. There's rumors that Facebook might even have Bitcoin on their balance sheet right now, but we're not going to know till they release all their books and the next quarterly reports. But there's tons of like mid-level companies that are not coming in my head that like I would name that you'd be familiar with. You could research that are already doing it, but it's going to be more and more common, and you'd be shocked by the companies in this next year. Like PayPal already has it on its balance sheet. You could, at first they were saying you could just send for it, but now they're giving you more and more options. They're integrating Coinbase to work with them, things of that nature, right? So it's going to be more and more common than you think. And there's probably already big companies that have done it, but haven't publicized it. Because think about it. As soon as you have 6, 8, 12 of the world's biggest companies publicize it, well, that's when Bitcoin goes from today's price to easy double in the few short weeks or months to come. So that's why I always tell people, take advantage now. I know it seems high, but I have people that when it was $20,000 tell me they'll sell me their house. They'll do everything if Bitcoin ever went back to 5. Well, guess what? It went back to 3 from 20. And guess how many of those people bought any Bitcoin? Zero. None of them bought anything. So people that are waiting for this correction, don't wait. Take action. Take a little bit now. If you think it's going to dip, have a bigger chunk put away to buy more. In case it doesn't, don't get scared. If it doesn't dip in the next weeks or several months, just keep buying at a pace you're comfortable with. And that's going to be the best strategy of getting involved if you're new. And even if you're an accredited investor or a long-term investor with a big portfolio, like anything else, you wouldn't just jump all into anything, right? So take your time, step by step, and before you know it, you're going to get an announcement, and that might be the time of, oh my God, start FOMOing in. But don't do that either, right? The time to FOMO in is now. Don't wait till you hear the 5 companies announce and say, oh my God, it's 100, but it's going to million. Because that's what's going to happen, Maria. You're going to be talking 6 months, a year from now, whatever, 18 months, whatever the date, and it's going to be about 100,000 to $250,000 Bitcoin, and people are going to tell you it's going to 1 million. You should buy now. And there's going to be me being like, I don't know if this is the time to buy. I would say, like, consider buying less now, you know, maybe scaling out if you already own some. But people are like that. People, I remember when it was hitting 15,000, 24,000, it was illogically hitting those numbers last run up. And people were telling me, no, it's going to 100. I'm buying now. And I'm like, I don't think so. You know what I mean?
All right.
They say, when it's going to be $250,000 on this run up or whatever the number is, 110, 350, we don't know the number. People are going to be buying at that price, selling their houses and doing illogical things, thinking it's going to go to 1 million. And it probably will go to 1 million, but it might go 300,000 back to 50,000, consolidate for a little while, jump between 50 and 100, and take another 2-3 years to get to that 1 million. And are they going to wait for it? If you sold your house, you have nowhere to live, you kind of put yourself in a spot, right? So don't do things like that. Don't put in any money you're not willing to lose in any investment, not just cryptocurrency.
All right, here we go. Let's do this. I know everybody's waiting and they go, I want to know who won. So if you didn't get a chance to put in hashtag CMJ Live, you have 2 seconds to type it in before we push the button in 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
And the winner is...
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Slowing down, slowing. There we go. Congratulations. Congratulations.
For the next time, I'm going to ask about Bitcoin Cash for the next one.
Don't even bother. I'll answer it. But...
I want to understand it. That's it.
Cool.
All right. So before we go, I promised people if they typed in one question, I would read the questions and just give you an idea of what it is. So real quick, Peter, just want to answer these real quick. Just
I got you. I'll keep it short.
All right. They want to know in Canada, like which stores are planning on accepting Bitcoin?
The Bitcoin transaction fees are way too high right now. They used to be about 5 cents, a few pennies, maybe 50 cents on an expensive day. Nowadays, they could go anywhere from 50 cents to $50. So that's too high of a transaction. So they're building multiple layer solutions. One, for example, is called Lightning Network. There's others as well. There most likely will be a layer on top of Bitcoin that'll be made for payments, kind of like right now. When you use your credit card, it doesn't actually settle. It's actually an IOU, and it ends up settling 3 days later. That's how actually it works, right? It's not instant. So there'll be a variation of that in cryptocurrency. And when that comes out, you'll see it everywhere. Right now, it's like true enthusiasts that understand the space. But to train your employees how to understand this new technology is too much of a curve. But you will see it once the layer 2 connection, which could take off next month or 4 years from now. We don't know.
So basically bank it now, because when it does come available, you can use it, right? Like you're saying, it's good to have it with you. All right, everybody. That is our show. I know people want to ask more questions, and that's fine. You want to ask more questions, all you got to do is go to his email right there. Email Peter and say, Peter, I got more questions. Or you just go to his website, and he has all the answers on his website right there. Or, you know what you can do? Come back Monday. We got more things coming on. Come back Monday. More show. Want to have you there. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Be safe. We'll see you next.
Love you guys.
Has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.
Please be advised that this podcast is meant for educational and informational purposes only and is in no way a replacement for legal or medical advice. The opinions contained within are solely those of the interviewers and interviewees and should be received as so. Those seeking help or advice are encouraged to obtain professional legal and medical